Good afternoon, Stu. We're back to our normal schedule after Memorial Day spectacular.
Hello, David. Yeah, glad to be back here.
I'm glad you are. Some people may not. Well, we're talking, but, they can go to hell. I hope you had a rollicking time this Memorial Day weekend.
Oh, I had a good time, and I'll tell on another day a story. I will tell just a brief part of it. Greenwood Cemetery has a Memorial Day patriotic concert, people sitting in the hills. It is beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful.
Raise anyone from the dead?
Well, they didn't raise the dead, but they played some pieces that were by composers who were now there in Greenwood under the ground, and they're pleasantly referred to as permanent residents. Oh, it was cute, and it was well done. Very nice.
That you just spent time in a cemetery on Memorial Day.
This is a special place, this place. And when I looked around, I thought maybe there were about 1,000 people, but it's all hillsides with the band shell down at the bottom. It turns out management says they estimate 9,000 people were there. They'd never seen anything like it before. Now, I don't know what they based it on, and I could only see a bunch, but it's a glorious event. Okay.
I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I hope you used a blanket and sit on the grass.
Well, don't ask any more questions.
Found a nice little spot for my permanent resting place. Well, But on that note, I wanted to acknowledge a dear, sweet woman who helped do the artwork for our cast. I recall Clara. You've met her now.
Yes.
She's at the party. I've named her Wednesday because she's got a sensibility that's somewhat akin to mine.
Oh, good.
Wednesday Adams.
Oh.
And it's her birthday tomorrow. She'll be 20.
God, she's already like you at that age, that young, tender age. It's a little frightening.
It's funny. I think someone once said to her, how can you be so cynical at that age? And I was like, you should have executed that person. She's just caught on quicker than the rest of some people. And some people never catch on.
Stu.
Exactly. But on another note, I'm not going to we'll talk about this more later, but I want to say I really appreciate the autistic baby daddy's farewell from Doge and how he's, is creeping off to the background after running around wielding a chainsaw and acting like he was going to rule the world. He's rather chastened these days because he didn't cut 2 trillion. He didn't cut 1 trillion. He barely cut 100 billion. And now he's running off crying like a bitch and complaining about Trump and the big beautiful bill and how it's not so beautiful. Welcome to Washington, D.C., idiot. Why don't you go back to South Africa where you belong with all the migrant?
I think your cynicism came out. And your assessment of facts.
I mean, it's ridiculous. It's like, what'd you think was going to happen when you behave? The thing that's so disappointing about this, if he had actually not been such an arrogant buffoon, he could have actually probably made some efficiency.
If he proceeded in a logical, time-consuming way.
He obviously doesn't know anything about the way a democracy works. And particularly ours, but then again, neither does big fat Donald Trump or his little sidekick, J.D. Pivlet-Vince, despite his Yale law degree. But on that note, there's a few little housekeeping items I wanted to mention, which was your story about the prison or New Orleans prison.
Oh, yeah.
Brought about a comment from your devout fan base mentioning how disturbed they were about it and noted the distinction between a jail and a prison. The jail is merely holding before trial and how 70% of the people at Rikers are awaiting trial.
True. I didn't know the number, but that's true.
So, Stu, your story about the prisons, I know how much a good prison story titillates you. Well, it apparently titillates others as well. So, congratulations.
Well, good. It's an ongoing story, it turns out, because not all the prisoners have been recovered. I think they were up to 6 out of 10 the other day, and they're now investigating, of course, the more people within the prison who helped these guys get out.
One of my friends, who's been rather loquacious in her commentary, noted to me how sad it is the state of our country that as an alternative to a progressives, we have to elect pedophiles, convicts, and geriatric killers, a.k.a. Cuomo and Wiener, in order to clean up the thing. Point duly noted, and I will also duly note, the Biden mess was supposed to be cleaned up by Trump, but Trump, as we know, is a convicted felon, as well as someone who cheated on his pregnant wife with a porn star and then had to pay her off to keep her quiet. So, it is a sad state between the days of George Washington, Dwight Eisenhower. Now we have this orange buffoon and his, how should we put it, very expensive wife. Now, one last thing.
Yes.
There's been further recriminations from the same individual about the use of the R word, because I made a crack about
R as in, you're not allowed to say it.
R word, people who are mentally.
Oh, that, you mean retard. Now, I objected to your use of it because I didn't think it was appropriate.
Right. And you don't care about the use of the word. She was not pleased that I referred to it as woke, and she said she is not woke, and truthfully she's not. And she said it is an ugly word unless the discussion involves historical point of view when people were labeled mentally retarded.
I think we use it in almost I don't want to say a fun way, but we're not purely serious. Sometimes we use words and we think it adds a little jollity. Yeah, not jollity, jolliness.
I don't think in this quarter, that it went over well.
No.
But I just thought I'd point out that the only time, according to my friend, she's not woke.
Okay. I hope she stays with us.
I think she will. And I think you'll actually need her.
Okay, good.
You can hash it out together.
I don't think there'll be much on that front.
And when you do not get into a food fight, because this is probably going to be at my apartment. Okay. All right. So, on that note, I think, now that we've gone through these commentaries, and we do encourage others to leave comments instead of just listening and being condescending behind our backs, why don't you do it right to our face? Because this is New York City, and we're an in-your-face kind of people. But Stu has a story of joy to start with, in a celebration of a weekend where we commemorate our troops. By the way, I was in Canada, in Montreal, over the Memorial.
Of course you were.
I have to get the hell out of here.
Okay. I don't know that this is particularly a Memorial Day story. Which am I doing? Am I doing the shipping stories? Yeah, not particularly Memorial Day, but a bit of it, actually. Okay, these are three little shipping stories that have been in the news, and I think it's really an interesting trio. 4 or 5 days ago, a large 443-foot cargo ship ran aground about dawn in a remote part of Norway. The ship came to rest about 25 feet from a house. The house owner was asleep. Had the ship landed a touch to the right, I'd say 15, 20 feet, it would have split the house in two and perhaps the owner as well. An investigation is ongoing. It was reported that the helmsman, he's the guy at the wheel or whatever it is, a stick, whatever they got now these days. It was reported that the helmsman was asleep. My question, well, wasn't anyone else awake? I know it was about dawn, but wasn't anyone else awake and on deck? How do you have? I mean, it's extraordinary. It reeks of negligence.
Okay,
now,
can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
How's this inspirational? Some guy falls asleep and crashes his boat.
I didn't say it was going to be inspirational. No, I'm sorry. This is not. But there are other things. There are other things that are. I never use the word informational. I'm sorry if I've. No, I don't think so.
This is a happy.
Well, Doc, he didn't use inspirational, but at any rate, I'll carry on. I don't think this is all.
Happy to you is some idiot falling asleep.
No, wait a minute. No, wait. Well, there is. No, because you've got to take a look at the pictures. If anyone else, if people haven't seen the photos, just Google Norway cargo ship aground, and you'll find it astonishing. It is happy in the sense that there was no damage to the house and no damage to the guy. You just wouldn't believe to wake up someone banging on your door and saying there's a ship outside your house. Now, I hope the removal doesn't, from my environmental sense says, I hope it doesn't leave an oil spill. It's going to be dragged over some rocks. But it's reported that the same ship ran aground 2 other times. Now, if this were some astronautical venture, you'd say, Houston, we have a very serious personnel problem. I would say that's my little story. I think it's a riot, but you've got to take a look at those photos. Now, second, I was in Red Hook, Brooklyn a few days ago over the Memorial Day weekend. It's a wonderful little spot that's separated in a sense by a lack of a very convenient subway line.
And there's an IKEA.
Yes, there is. I'm not too concerned about that, but yes, there is.
Nor am I. Would never furnish my.
Now, I was sitting on a bench in a small park looking at New York Harbor, having a beer and smoking a cigar. A huge cruise ship came out of a slip in the Redwood dock, the Red Hook dock area. It came around a little promontory, and nothing surprising about that, I suppose, except that it came out backwards. It was going in reverse. Well, it was a huge ship. I would guesstimate 600 feet or something like that. And I'd never seen such a thing. And then it immediately reminded me of the Mexican fiasco at the Brooklyn Bridge, which we'll talk about in a moment. The cruise ship stops quite near shore, and minutes later, and this is the compelling part of it, it spun around in place. Now, I've never seen a large ship move in anything other than an arc as it turns, taking up probably half a mile sometimes. This thing moved in place. Absolutely astonishing to me. Maybe that's commonplace now, but it wasn't to me when I saw it. And what flexibility and safety that provides. I mean, think Titanic. I mean, you can stop and go backwards. And then you can turn, and it allows you to do things in a small harbor that couldn't be done. Remarkable. Now, I noticed on the side of the vessel, it said MSC Group. So I looked it up online. I Googled it, and it was founded by an Italian with headquarters in Switzerland. And what an array of cruise ships they have. Maybe they all have this technology I've just described. And since I'm not a very traveling person these days, and certainly not on large cruise ships, I'll never be on one. It was remarkable technology, and you'll love to see it.
Of course, it was an.
Of
course, our people are ingenious. We discovered America, and we not only do we start the Renaissance, created some of the greatest artwork in the world. We have now fascinated Stu. Well, he's sitting in Brooklyn again on a bed.
With a cigar, and had a wonderful chat with a lady sitting next to me. It was wonderful. And I brought up, of course, what came up? The podcast came up. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Everywhere I go. Finally, this Mexican fiasco. That's astonishing. And yes, it's humorous, except for the fact that 2 people died. There's nothing funny about that.
You should probably say what happened, because on it.
Oh, I mean, for those who don't know, there was a Mexican training ship on the east side of New York, and that was near the South Street Seaport, docked. It was a training ship and preparing to go at least around several continents. I don't know if it was going around the world. And so there are lots of guys up on these masts, because that's what often, maritime people and naval people train people on, sailing ships, just in case, things don't always go right with mechanical ways and other things. So this ship is coming out of New York Harbor. Don't know if any tugboats accompanied it. Don't know what happened yet. There's an investigation ongoing. But it all of a sudden goes into reverse. And it heads backward. Thus my reference just a moment ago to the backward intentionally with the MSC ship. This ship backs up and ends up hitting the Brooklyn Bridge, causing no damage to the bridge of consequence. But there were guys up on the masts, guys, girls, I'm not sure which 2 people died, but they were all over in their luck, and they were just hanging from there at one point. So very sad there, but it's astonishing as well. We don't know yet what was going on, but first I have to say, I saw an adjacent tugboat. I wonder what, if any, relationship that had to the ship, but under power going backwards. Don't know. I don't know what protocol is in the harbor for accompanying ships deeper into the harbor. And of course, mechanical failure has to be involved somehow. And I imagine there was some human incompetence as well. Yeah, I know, but these things are so funny. You think with an air accident and the like, and I'd say ships as well, you have to wait for all the facts, but some things we can guess at. But what gets me finally is these guys, I don't want to criticize Mexico generally, but these guys were about to go out and sail the oceans wide. I mean, I conclude by saying, I think I prefer the Swiss as in MSC Group.
You mean the Italian?
The Italian made. I don't know if they were made in Italy, but at any rate, founded by an Italian.
Absolutely, because our people are ingenious. We're geniuses.
Those are my stories.
You know, some of the stuff you come up with, I don't know what goes through. A crashing ships. There's something really happy about all of it.
No, I wouldn't call it happy, but there is a bit of humor in it, as well as the sadness of two people who passed at the incompetence and at perhaps the mechanical problems.
Well, I would never go on a cruise ship either, Stu. It's for the plebeians and the masses, and they're repulsive. I mean, I couldn't think of a worse thing. I mean, awful. And I don't need to eat it and all you can eat. That. Orange. But I'm going to move on to
something more serious and legitimate.
I don't know if it's legitimate. We've heard all along about this cryptocurrency, thing, and it's becoming very bigger than it has been, and getting a lot of support from the current administration. A matter of fact, even our first lady, Melanoma, has a crypto coin. I don't know if she's in her burlesque outfit on it, but the crypto industry kind of has a reputation of being a little underground, a little subversive, a little dark. They kind of make Elon Musk look like My Three Sons at McMurray. Remember that old
Yes, I do.
Okay. So over the weekend, an Italian, one of my great people, he's a crypto millionaire. He's invited to a townhouse in Soho, and his name is Michael Valentino Teofrasto Carturan or something, okay? He gets to the townhouse where this meeting was supposed to be held, and he is kidnapped for, I think, 3 weeks, Stu, where they shot him, his feet, they put it in mortar, they pistol whipped him, they threatened him with a chainsaw, they dangled him over the ledge, and they also, I think, put drugs in his system, crack, and he finally escaped, and I think it was over the weekend, and then got in touch with the NYPD, went to the local donut store where they usually congregate. And, he escaped, and now he's at Bellevue recovering from these injuries. And
what a horrible, horrible.
Yep. And the people involved, one of whom his name is John Woeltz, he is known as the crypto king of Kentucky, and he is the orchestrator. He's currently now in Rikers.
Yes.
On a series of charges, kidnapping, etc. There's someone else. He's a Swiss background. His name is William Duplesse.
Yeah.
He's 33 years old, a trader of crypto. And after spending the weekend in the Hamptons.
Yes. One of them came back and turned himself in.
They're flyers.
I know what that is. I mean, a fancy spot, I guess.
Well, no, as we're all like these young kids go and
hit the stuff.
Yeah, it's gross. Actually, it should be stricken from the face of the earth. I wouldn't be caught dead there. So I would be quite dead there. But he turned himself in, and I think his father is trying to help him with lawyer and all the rest.
Of course.
And then, along with this, another character in all this is Beatrice Fulch, and she is the assistant.
Oh, I saw a picture of her today in the Post.
Pretty?
Yes. Yes.
Get your mind out of it.
Oh, she was pretty. That's all I said.
Well, she has been released, and with charges kind of out there, but nothing has stuck. And there's another.
Yeah, that's to be determined.
Yeah. It's Charlie Zakor or something like that. And Charlie is also involved in the crypto industry as well, but what's even funnier about him, he's scheduled to appear on a new Bravo reality show called Next Generation NYC. He has, which is, Andy Cohen Bravo reality show. I know Stu does not follow.
I know the name, but I don't.
Like those Real Housewives type. So this is.
I'll be sure to watch.
So I'm sure everyone's going to tune into the show even more than they normally would in light of all this controversy. Now, what's kind of interesting about all this, Stu, is, I said this at the beginning, obviously crypto has some potential as a business or whatever.
It's already having potential. It's everything.
Our president to be monetizing, encouraging this kind of shady type business without appropriate regulation. First of all, it's going to cause a lot of problems. Second of all, these are the kind.
And he shouldn't be using the presidency as a platform to enhance his wallet.
So when do you think he's going to pardon these people?
Oh, you're right. I hadn't thought of that.
But I mean, I think this whole episode is a statement on the crypto industry. I'm a free market capitalist.
Yes.
I don't believe in the government interfering too much in business, but this seems like something that's going to be dangerous, and it needs to be overlooked, not encouraged and used to profiteer with the presidency in a cheap and repulsive way, as this charlatan of a man is.
Well, he got rid of that SEC guy who was who was talking about crypto regulation. He isn't there anymore, is he?
I don't know. I mean, there's so many people who've gone by the wayside. It's hard to keep check, but Godspeed, Pete Hegseth is still the Secretary of Defense and now has a makeup room to make himself look pretty for the cameras while he reveals national security secrets, embarrasses the nation. And apparently they're investigating his bullshit story about a wiretap and that all this paranoid stuff. That guy is off down a rabbit hole of Fox News Christian Coalition bullshit. Tell him to get his pants zipped up and stay away from the drinking and go to church and spew on your Jesus crap.
Well,
that's my crypto story. Happy Memorial Day. It really is sick. And the type of people that should do this should be locked away.
Well, I think they got a lot of stuff on, or they will have, if he remains alive to testify. And the role of that woman will be interesting too, I think. But you ought to get a look at the picture. I think she's very good looking. Well, the cops came and got her initially. I mean, she was outside the house. But as I read, they had to release her. They had nothing on her at that point, but there'll be more to say.
It doesn't discourage tourism to New York City.
Oh, I doubt it. Nothing does.
Well, at the end of the day, the guys who they kidnapped and tortured for 3 weeks seems to be stable.
That's really remarkable. That's the story, that he got away.
He's Italian. Our people have a willing cock.
And he didn't give up the ship. He did. No, remarkable. That's remarkable. Good. And lucky. Good. You bet.
I would have burnt every dollar I had before I gave it to those Saba bitches. Well, I don't know if I...
Easy to say. Yeah. Oh, easy to say.
I probably would have turned it over in a minute.
I don't know, but...
I need to go get a massage and a facial.
But it's easy to say. But when I think about POWs, I say, God damn it, those guys were good over in Hanoi Hilton.
Yeah. All right. So, Stu, we now have another tale of...
I didn't give you a tale of woe there, but this one is both disturbing and agonizing and sad. Ava Moore. She's an 18-year-old black girl. Graduated from the U.S. Air Force Academy Prep School on May 19, less than 2 weeks ago. She promptly accepted an appointment to attend the Air Force Academy this fall. Grapevine Lake is an 11-square-mile reservoir north of Dallas. Lots of boating, swimming, fishing on the lake. 2 women were riding a jet ski on Grapevine Lake on the evening of May 25 when they crashed into a kayaker, Ava Moore. Ms. Moore, I get goosebumps just said when I say this. Ms. Moore suffered severe head trauma. She was pulled to the shore by bystanders and then taken to a hospital. The jet ski was said to be traveling at a high rate of speed and was dangerously close to other people in the water. Witnesses told investigators that Moore and other kayakers tried to paddle away before Moore was struck from behind. Repeat, from behind. The jet ski's passenger, remember, there are two in it, the jet ski's driver and passenger. The passenger stayed at the scene and spoke with first responders, while the jet ski driver rushed toward a vehicle with a man. Bystanders tried to stop the two bastards from fleeing, but friends of the bastards helped them escape. That vehicle then crashed into two other vehicles as they left the area. There were over 900 phone tips that promptly came in, and because of those and good police work, the arrest was made of the two, meaning the guy who was at the car that drove off along with the driver of the jet ski who was in that car. And the vehicle crashed into two other vehicles, I think I just said, as they left the area. Now, the jet ski driver and the man are both 21-year-old Venezuelans. Both entered the country illegally. Ava Moore died at the hospital. The jet ski driving woman has been charged with manslaughter, a felony. The male has some driving charges, but that could be upgraded. We'll see. Governor Abbott, Texas governor, called for the death penalty. I'm not sure there's anything to that. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing it in this case, truly, at least for the driver of the jet ski. But it's unclear to me that it would apply in either case. Under Texas law, I don't believe it does. But mine is just a guess, and we'll see in the near future whether other charges are made or that will allow that to be the case. Lieutenant General Tony Bjornfiend, superintendent of the U.S. Air Force Academy, said in a news release that Moore's, quote, passion for leadership and service left an impact on everyone she met. He said her constant happiness and attitude helped our squadron get through the challenges of prep school. End quote. Apparently, she was just a remarkable person at the beginning of a wonderful career in the Air Force. Ava's parents, showing more compassion than I would ever have, said, "This is a difficult time for all involved, but also an opportunity for our beautiful girl to continue to impact our community. Out of this tragedy," she said, "God will make good, and that can only be accomplished through forgiveness." I'm sorry, I respect and admire the parents, but I favor Governor Abbott's attitude, even if there is no legal capability there.
Wow. Stu, you frightened.
How?
What?
I know you have a feeling on the death penalty. I know.
I mean,
I'm using it loosely, but I understand the attitude.
It's outrageous that these careless disregard of human life or with safety, and they go kill this.
We don't even know about drinking because a couple of days passed. I don't know what they'll find.
I have a funny feeling Trump these people
Because
they're illegally.
if they make a small contribution, though, they can offset that problem. Maybe they're connected to a drug ring in Venezuela.
They also, as you noted, this is not really a death penalty case. It's a tragic accident. We're fortunate these people were.
I would have thought that in some cases, in some states, that at least the driver, if there was vehicular negligence ending in death and causing a felony, I would imagine it could in some states qualify.
Well, don't you have to have intent and kind of a first amendment charge?
No, manslaughter. I don't know state by state whether that's true. You think that's common? Okay.
Hard to get someone convicted of the death penalty, even in Texas.
Yeah, I don't believe Texas has it. At least that's what I read according to the reports.
More than
No. I'm just
doing what I remembered from many.
Yeah. No, I'm just wondering if in some circumstances, in some states, whether
Governor Abbott is off his rocker.
But I do feel for these parents. I don't know how they can have that compassion. I feel for that poor girl who lost a future. And I love to see, I love to see a minority individual, and I'm not saying she's overcome a difficult childhood. I don't know anything about her parents, but I'd love to see progress and achievement. And she was robbed of that, and their family was robbed of that. And I feel sorry about that.
By people who didn't belong here in the first place, because we had a president of the United States who let our country be flooded with illegal immigrants while he and his fake doctor wife lied about his mental incapacity.
Can't deny that.
It's disgusting. Well, I hope the parents, if they do get to go to D.C. to visit the president, they can fly on Bernie Sanders' private plane so that they don't have to deal with the commercially.
You know, it's interesting. Your point about would they get to see the president? I wonder about that. She would be, her case would make nice publicity for him.
That's exactly my point. He'll exploit this tragedy for his benefit.
Oh, I don't know if the parents would come. You never know. But they would if they believe they want more impact of their child in death. And maybe it would help in some way. But he wouldn't have that his would be
purely personal, of course. Or he'd probably do like a crypto coin and the girls will honor and try to make money. And, Elon can start, I think I forgot to mention this, it's just so funny. He's now talking about how he's going to, that we need to populate Mars, and because the Earth is not going to be here because it'll be burnt up by the sun. So he's working very hard. Rather than on Doge, he's going to work very hard so that we can go live on Mars. Isn't that be cynical like a flat earth person?
Even though I would have, I love the opportunity to be with Elon on Mars. I don't think I'll be around in time for all that.
Well, frankly, soon. If I'm going to go anywhere, it will be Australia, not Mars. Okay. So, I wish I could end this on a positive note.
You never do.
Well, sometimes I do. I surprise you. How Stu has in the past, and the last episode, was very unsympathetic to the Biden cancer diagnosis, which was all a cover-up for years, in my opinion. And one of the reasons he was is because of how Biden pardoned his dirtbag, disgusting son, who should have gone to jail for the charges and tax evasion, but Biden didn't let that happen. This poor little hunter who's selling his art in Soho for hundreds of thousands.
Is that true? He's selling there?
He was selling in Soho, yeah.
Oh,
and it was just obviously the guy is not an artist. He threw paint on a painting, and then people who wanted to
called it modern art.
Yeah, and then people who wanted access to Biden, but were probably buying his stuff at an exorbitant price.
Send a snapshot with a cover letter. And
exactly.
Yeah.
And of course, what they didn't realize is Biden was non-compos mentis to even me. But, that was bad enough. And this whole pardon thing and the abuse of it, Gerald Ford did pardon Richard Nixon. A lot of people found that controversial, but
there's some legitimacy to the notion.
Yeah, exactly. Because he wanted to heal the country.
Yes.
He wanted to move past Watergate. And Nixon, in a way, was a tragic figure, a victim of his paranoia and kind of psychological issues. He was also a drunk, as I recall. But the rapist, Bill Clinton, also peddled pardons for cash.
Sure.
And one the most notable example is when he pardoned the tax cheat Mark Rich. Because
the one who went to Switzerland.
Yes. Trump has taken this to an even higher level of unseemly behavior, and now he has demonstrated why it was a mistake to elect a convicted felon who sexually abuses women to the presidency. He has pardoned someone by the name of Paul Walzak, who had tax cheating charges against him, and he won't have to serve his 18-month sentence. He was about to go to jail. Normally, he even have to pay restitution.
Yeah.
The $4 million. And you know what he did do? This is what makes it even worse. He was withholding employment taxes from his employees in nursing home businesses, doctors, nurses, etc. So he was withholding from their pay the employment taxes from 2010 to 2019. $10 million, right? And instead of using it to, pay for their FICA taxes and Social Security, he took the money, he bought a $2 million yacht, he bought all this.
What a piece of scum.
Exactly. Went on high-end trips and retail goods. He purchased some, even from my beloved Bergdorf Goodmans. And I have to say, Stu, that really puts a tarnish on one of the greatest retailers in America, where you can go and buy a pair of socks for $500.
I just can't wait.
Now, Paul submitted a pardon application, and it basically went unnoticed for a long time. But then his mother, Elizabeth Fago, Fago, she paid $1 million.
Yes.
A dinner at the prestigious and tastily
Mar-a-Lago?
Yes.
Mar-a-Lago,
whatever.
Yeah.
We'll just call it gross, tacky, and typical of from here.
Here's my $1 million. Let me tell you about my son. Was she the mother?
Yeah.
Here's my $1 million. Funny thing happened. He was convicted.
Right. So what's funny is in his pardon application, Paul, the criminal, he claimed that he was politically targeted by the Biden administration because of his involvement in trying to publicize, I think it was the family's involvement.
Yeah.
They tried to publicize Ashley Biden's diary, which had a bunch of unseemly and revelations about the family. And she's like Biden's youngest daughter, and she had a history of addiction. Seems like a lot of the Biden children like to hit the bottle or the pills or whatever. Another testament to him and Dr. Shalom, what great parents they are. They seem to, says if they should have spent a little less time grasping onto power and a little more time tending to their brood. So, Trump pardoned them in a obvious quid pro quo. And I mean, this guy's disgusting. He's stealing his employees' money, and this is who Trump pardons, and there's no justification for it whatsoever. Now, on a more...
Pay to play.
Exactly. On a more amusing and more ridiculous note, okay, he also pardoned two reality stars.
Oh, those.
Todd and Julie Christie.
They look like dolls, little Barbie doll people.
Yeah, they kind of remind me of Jim and Tammy.
Yes, exactly.
She was the star of Chrisley Knows Best. Now, I never watched the show. I don't know anything about it.
I can give you all the details. No, I've never seen it.
Well, they were convicted of bank fraud and tax evasion involving $30 million of loans.
Oh, that demands a pardon.
And they got one because their daughter, Savannah, who campaigned for Trump, she even gave a speech at the Nazi. She called for their mercy. Todd was sentenced to 12 years in prison. I think he was serving his sentence, so Julie 7. But now neither one of them will ever go and see the jail. And these people are committed serious fraud. There's no justification for it. And this is what the part of, so I mean,
it's sick. It's pay to play.
It's disgusting. And I would hope maybe someday we'll have a real president. And we will have, I don't know how much, because it is a constitutional right to pardon, what the prospects are to put some limits on this, because it's being abused. I mean, there were protocols that are in play.
Well, he abandoned the use of that pardon group.
Normally they go through the Justice Department to heavily vet.
Yes.
Before they even see his desk. Now all you have to do is show up at Mar-a-Lago with a check and your mouth open for a blowjob. And Trump's little stumpy wiener will be satisfied. It's a disgrace.
It's very saddening because while there have been deviations in the past, nothing that even approached this level, and nothing for the obvious reasons. And it's becoming now not just something you did one day or 1 week after you were installed as president, you were whatever it is. It's becoming almost a weekly or monthly thing now. And that will go on. And people are presumably now preparing their letters and their photos and their checks.
Right.
It's sick.
It really is sick.
It's not right.
But there's nothing we can do about it except, ultimately, I think now that Elon Musk is no longer being accused as the whipping boy for everyone's hanger at Trump, Trump is going to pay a price for all of this stuff. I can't help but think this isn't going to last forever. And, his policies are not going to bring about economic salvation as he piles on billions of dollars in debt and doesn't really, is an irresponsible, reckless man. And I mean, he's obviously mad, a mad king. I don't think he's demented like Joe Biden, but this, and by the way, there's apparently a new state, on Wall Street, they refer to taco, which is, it's like basically Trump basically backs off everything he does.
Yes. What's the taco connection?
I have to go with the abbreviation. I should have remembered what the abbreviation.
Oh, it what? Oh, there's an abbreviation
for Trump backing off everything. I think they were referring to, the tariffs. And by the way, still not one deal of any substance.
Yeah.
And it's about all bullshit.
And no peace in Ukraine. He was going to solve that in a day, but a year ago. So.
No, well, when you kiss Putin's ass, the year's on there.
You're a fool. You're a fool. Not you, but he's a fool. I mean, Putin hasn't changed his attitude at all. It's just been, I'll negotiate, I'll talk, but
when he knows that the president of the United States makes all these bold statements and backs it for 2 days later, he knows he's not playing with a serious person.
But he wouldn't admit it. Now all he says is the man's changed. He's sick now, or he's not doing, he's talking Putin. He's been playing him like a fiddle.
What are we going to do about this, Stu? Other than all of us go substantially campaign for Andrew Cuomo and Weiner so that they can turn the city around into a den of iniquity worse than Sodom and Gomorrah.
Musk did make a remark that I thought was pretty clever, saying about that bill,
you can be big and
beautiful, it's one or the other.
It was a funny comment, and it was very good.
It's accurate.
It is accurate. Unfortunately, he's too repulsive to laugh at also. And he's benefited substantially and financially also from his little arrangements. And, I hope when Bernie Sanders becomes president in 2028, God forbid, the first thing he does is yank all those government contracts from Musk's companies.
It makes this stuff, makes a lot of folks sad, or should, or could, or may.
Well,
I'm one.
I'm sorry to hear that, Stu, because when you're sad, the world sheds a tear. No wonder why it's raining outside. But on that note, Stu, I think we've covered a lot of ground today.
Yes.
I hope you'll tune in, and I hope you'll leave comments rather than being passive-aggressive. And we'll be back next week.
Ta-da.